Rhythm is respecting your nature, your genes, your uniqueness. Every one of us has a built-in circadian clock, all right, which is complicated, right? But let's simplify it right down to two parts. One is your sleep cycle. To be able to go to bed at the right time, wake up at the right time, and move at a time when your body's on one of its highs is proven now, only recently, to be really beneficial, particularly for protecting you from depression and for cognitive performance. Okay, so the idea of rhythm is finding the best way to manage your sleep and your movement through each day.
Mhm. What about people who are determined that they rest better when they go to bed later and they wake up later?
Absolutely fine. So we know that about a third of us are larks. We love to get up early and go to sleep early. About a third of us are serious owls. Definitely prefer. And you know why? Your clock genes are sending out a different rhythm. So an owl, to go to bed later or eveningness person,
Mhm.
has a longer circadian clock. So the last thing you want to do is to force an owl to behave like a lark.
Mm.
So this rhythm idea is about finding what your unique rhythm is and living to it. And the only protection I would just mention there before we get into the, how,
Mhm.
is be aware that some owls can really play up at night and overdo it. So while the lark may need to go to bed at 8 or 8:30,
Mhm.
the owl probably needs to go to bed at 10:30.
That is still so early for a lot of people.
Sure. But much later than that is starting to push a risk
Okay.
because it's very easy if you've got that owl genetics
Mhm.
or circadian clock to be overactive at night. Too much noise, too much people, too much food, too much alcohol, and they do pay a price, right? And you can see this in their long-term health outcomes.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm seeing clock genes as a really easy way to excuse all-nighters
Indeed,
and sleeping
indeed,
in.
indeed.
Yeah.
No, one has to be very careful with this because the price of getting it wrong is high.
Mm.
And as I often tease people, when you choose a partner in life, be careful about their clock genes.
True.
If you're a lark and you marry an owl, that's going to complicate many things in
You
your
need different
life.
bedrooms.
Indeed, and your intimacy is messed up, and then your
Yeah.
kids have got different genes.
True.
So, diversity is really important, but we need to be aware of these things.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so you've said that the consequences of not maintaining your rhythms are not good. Can you elucidate a little more about why we need to be
Yeah.
thinking about rhythm?
So, you can look at this now from almost any research perspective. When you run your daily rhythm to your circadian cycle, your life is much better
Mm.
day by day. Every day you get it right, you're a better person. Every day you get it wrong, you're a slightly diminished person. When you build consistency, to me, that is the key to lifelong vitality.
Mhm. It's like that feeling when you wake up before your alarm every day and you actually feel rejuvenated and
Absolutely.
rested from your sleep. It's
Then you know your clock is working
so good. Yeah.
and you feel ready to exercise.
Mhm.
And after the exercise, you feel great and you're ready to
Mhm.
relax again.
Mhm.
Rhythm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. So I see this, yes, it's in the moment, but this is actually a very, very important piece to your long-term vitality. And, as your mind gets older, it's a good way to keep your mental performance up, to protect yourself from anxiety, depression.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Rhythm matters
Mm.
now and in the long play.
And it's your, sleeping is your brain's sewage system without getting too
Indeed.
biological about it.
And to remember, we're in this 24/7 world.
Yeah.
So we need to own this. You can't abdicate to the 24/7 world without paying a price.
What do you mean the 24/7 world?
Well, it's always active. There's
Yeah,
always TV, there's always something
always
on the
something.
internet, there's always somewhere to go, a party going on. It
Mm,
never stops.
mm,
So we have to actually own the responsibility to saying, for my long-term well-being, I need to shuffle off to bed in the next half hour.
Mm. Okay, so we're getting into how now, and I think this one is the most complicated because I know for one, I know, my friends know, yes, sleep is very important. We know that it is, but you might need to work late, you might have a party on, and yes, you should be getting to bed early, but sometimes you also do want to be out in the world doing things. So I suppose maybe I'm looking for an answer. I'm looking for a free pass to say that, if it's Saturday night and like I've got an important event or like a friend's birthday on that I can go, I can have a late night and I can come back to my consistent rhythm. Maybe I'll be a bit off, but is it the end of the world?
The question's absolutely right. And the first thing, you do not want to be an automaton.
Mm,
That's not human life. There are times you need to go out and party and to do it with joy, with no regret, right? It's important, it matters.
mhm,
And to know that you can recycle into your rhythm quite quickly.
mhm,
The problem is when it becomes a habit. And
mhm,
every night, you're cleaning the oven or you're running around fiddling with something
mhm.
unnecessary. That's not useful.
Right.
Okay, so I really do encourage, even for children, the odd disruption to your rhythm is fine.
Mhm.
Those parties, that social connection, letting your hair down, do it.
Yeah.
Do it without any guilt,
It's not all the time.
but then get back into your
It's
rhythm.
the odd thing, not
Yeah.
the daily thing.
And ideally, what you try and do is maybe on Friday night, that's your big night out.
Yeah.
Saturday, you're starting to prepare for the next week.
Yes, I'm so
So
about a Friday
Saturday
night.
night, Sunday night, you actually then wake up on Monday ready to do your thing at your best.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. Thank goodness. All right. So we're in the how. What else can we do to align our rhythms?
Yeah. This is testing for people. The flip side, in our experience over many years, when people get small improvements in their rhythm, the benefit to their life experience or their leadership or their sport is profound.
Mm,
They tell us about it
mm,
often. It's one of the most common wins we get in our programs. So hows? I mean, you could start anyway, but let me start at the beginning of the day. Most sleep centers now would say knowing your optimal time to wake up is step one. There is a time at which your body wants to connect with the world. You come to
100%.
consciousness, your blood pressure is increasing, your body's releasing cortisol, you're starting to want to rock and roll. Find that time.
Mhm.
And then keep that time as consistent as you can. In fairness, we may need to make adjustments.
Well, depending on where I am in the world,
Indeed.
the time changes. Like
Indeed.
London is very different to Queensland, is very
Indeed.
different to New Zealand.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I think this is just one with we'll talk about curiosity later, but the idea of being curious, I wonder
mm,
what's the best time for me to wake up.
mm,
So you might try 6 o'clock, and quarter past six, quarter to six, 5:30.
yeah.
Try some different times to think, you know what, that's working for me.
Mm,
Plant it in the ground and keep your wake up time consistent and be willing to make those little adjustments to see if you can fine tune going forward. That's number one. Number two, I think it's really important to get up, move around. Notice you like to do your jigs.
50 jumps a day.
Yeah, indeed. Do something, whether it's your yoga or if you stretches or going for a walk to fetch the paper, it doesn't matter, but move your body, okay? And bring yourself into the time of dawn.
Mhm.
Just before the sun breaks the horizon, you get blue light. That blue light is called the primary Zeitgeber. So if you can coordinate your wake up time and that blue light before dawn, you've reset your circadian clock for the next, not just a day, but several days in a row.
Okay.
So if you can consistently add the wake up time and the blue light, that's a big, big win. Put the movement in, do your exercise then if that suits you. But maybe you just go into the garden,
Mm,
and just sit and be quiet for a while, but that blue light will really work. Third thing, During the day, it's very important to get out
Mhm.
in the sunshine. All right, get some bright 100,000 lux light. If it can be in nature, even better, about 20 minutes. That helps you maintain this clock cycle.
Mm.
Then, as we get towards the end of the day, I think you can keep it very simple. If you're getting it up at X, you know that to get a decent sleep, you need to go to bed at Y. 1 hour before Y, switch off your devices.
Mhm.
Now, I know, many young people use the red glasses. It's a hack, all right? It's reducing blue light,
Mhm.
but that's the goal. And, maybe that's a good time to have a chat, take the dog for a walk, play cards, play a game, relax, read a book.
Bold of you to assume playing a game is relaxing, but yes.
Yeah, well, it should be. So that 60 minutes will allow your eyes to have less blue light,
Mhm.
which starts the release of melatonin
Mhm.
and allows you to cool. And that loss of temperature from your core out to the world is the key for getting into deep sleep.
Mm.
So those would be really for me, just the key things. Maybe you could add every time you do relax into bed, I want to go to sleep now.
Yeah.
Just do the breathing within tactical calm
Mhm.
and
Mm.
just let sleep take you away.
Love that. I want to go back to two things. One being the testing different wake up times, and the second being the, what did you call it? The primary Zeitgeber. I liked that.
Yes. Like
So
Eba.
Zeitgeber. The blue light is only before the dawn,
Not only,
or
but it's just the right wavelength.
right.
150 nanometers of light.
Okay. So you can still get a little if you're waking
Yeah.
up at the sunrise, but ideal is just
And
before dawn.
we can't tell these guys, but your screen on a typical iPhone will actually give you 450 nanometers of blue light.
So actually waking up and scrolling is like perfect.
Maybe.
But no,
It's
I
not,
would not
not
recommend
the
that.
best way to
No
go,
phone
but
first hour, I think.
it's an option.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
And well, I once read that looking at your phone first thing is like letting every single person that is on your screen come into your bedroom first thing in the
Indeed.
morning, which would be very
Indeed.
strange. So yeah. The second thing I wanted to ask, for people trying to test what wake up time is best for them, I know that sometimes, once upon a time I was trying to wake up at 4:55 every single day, and at the beginning it was very difficult, and after a week or two, it started to become very easy and it felt natural. So, for somebody testing different wake up times, how many days should you test it? Because the first time it can feel like utter just terror.
We're all different. As a rough guide, I reckon 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. Hold your experiment steady for two
Mm.
weeks and then sit back and say, did that work?
Yeah, because one night you just don't know. You can wake up at
No.
6 AM and think, "That's not for me," but
And you know how you know this is jet lag.
yeah.
So when you've flown back from London, you
Mm,
notice you're not quite feeling good. Okay, that's exactly. Now, if you take, some of us can 2, 3 days, we're back. Others take a week to recover. Our clocks have variable flexibility.
mhm,
As you're young, you're going to be more flexible.
mm,
As we get older, those clocks get a little weaker and more rigid.
mhm. Okay, very good. So 2 weeks if you're wanting to test new wake up time before you can write it off. I think that's a wrap on rhythm.
Simple
Uh,
stuff.
yeah, so easy. Alright, we've done tactical calm, we've done rhythm. Before we move to impulse control, could you please give us a little recap of where we've got to so far?
Right. So if you like, we're building.
Mhm,
Tactical calm is physiological, mastering your breath, your heart rate, inflammation, those physiological factors. When
mhm,
your physiology works well, everything works better. When it's not working well, life is hard.
mhm,
So we get that right first. That is your base for what I term the biological level, which is your rhythms, your movement, your diet, your sleep, all those things you do on a daily basis. And once again, that builds. So you can imagine if your physiology and your biology is messed up, what are your emotions likely to be?
all over the show.
Yeah. Well, one, chaotic, and two, probably destructive.
Mm.
You think how you feel when you're really sick.
Oh, if I've had a bad night's sleep, just
There
put
you
me
go.
back to bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we become way more impulsive and much less empathetic
Mm.
when our physiology and biology isn't working for us,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And that sets the stage for impulse control, the ability to work skillfully with emotion so that you can move up to the cognitive layer,
Mhm.
which is how your mind works.
Mhm.
Now, remember, your emotions drive your mind and your action. So, in order to really work with your mind skillfully, it's so important to
Mhm.
master the
Mhm.
emotion layer. Okay. And then our mind, when it's working really well, it kind of opens you up to greatness. So you can think of that as consciousness, a sense of purpose in the world, a sense of integrity, a sense of altruism.
Mhm. And it's more difficult, I suppose, to go from the top layer down than it is to start at the base and work your way up, respecting, of course, that these are all integral and connected.
I agree with you. And I like to encourage people to think that as humans, because we have such good minds, which, our dear animal friends don't quite have the same consciousness, we can work top down.
Mm,
And sometimes finding your purpose or the person you genuinely commit to for life, that can be the motivation to say, you know what,
mm,
for them, I'm going to take care of my physiology and biology and behave a bit better, right? So, yes, it makes sense to build from the bottom up.
mhm,
Perfect scientific sense.
mhm.
But as humans, let's not underestimate the power
Yeah,
of the mind and consciousness.
very true. And not to limit ourselves by thinking because we haven't got something right on the biological or physiological level that we can't be altruistic. Of course we can.
Absolutely.
It yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you. That's a great explanation. Let's move into impulse control.